Good morning.
Good morning.
You don't need diagrams.
Not my pick. No.
Mine also not. I don't know what's in the third grade.
Good morning, Chavra.
Morning.
Good morning.
In general, I like doing the first pair. It's not reliant on anything, except for maybe what we learned yesterday, right? Today I'm doing the second. So there's certain concept that I need to. I didn't go and try and learn your pair in order to get my pair. So
Okay. All right, 5:45. Good morning, everyone. Let's get started. We're starting with Hilchos Kiddush hachodesh Perek Shishi. The theme of the first Perek is we're going to be learning what's called, the Rambam calls the Moiled. We're going to learn how to calculate how much time there is between seeing the new moon on a month, how much time it takes for you to be able to see the new moon on the following month. That's point number one. And point number two that we're going to learn is if you see the new moon for this month on a particular day, then what day would that fall out the following month? And what day would that fall out on the following year? And we're going to be learning a lot of numbers. It's not hard, it's just numbers. So let's get started. Halacha Aleph. Bizman she'oisin al ha're'iyah, during the times when they would establish the new month based on seeing the new moon, the Beis Din would know the exact time when the sun and the moon would gather together, when there would be a conjunction, and when the moon would not be visible, the diktuk harbe to an extreme precision, in the same ways that astrologers know how to calculate. In order to know, is it possible for the moon to be seen or not? Now, the beginning of that calculation, before you can come to an understanding of a precise, to know with precision, is the moon noticeable or not? First, you need to know the cheshbon shemechashbon oisve b'keruv. First, you need to know the calculation where you approximate things. And you know when the sun and the moon are in conjunction without precision. Rather in its, you have to estimate the way that the moon is going to travel without exact precision. And hu anikra moilad, this is what we call today the moilad. It's when we approximate when is the moon and the sun going to be in conjunction, and therefore the moon is not going to be visible. And the main calculations that we calculate during the time when there is no Beis Din, where we fix the calendar based on seeing the new moon, and that's the calculations that we make today. Hu hanikra ibur. That is called ibur. So in summary, this Rambam, this halacha gave us three terms. There's going to be what's called the mahalech ha'amiti, which we're not going to be discussing, which is when you identify with exact precision when the sun and the moon are in conjunction. We're not going to be discussing that today in this parak. Then there is what's called the mahalech ha'imtsai, which is the average movements of the moon, which is called moiled. That's going to be what we're going to be discussing today. You have to know the moiled in order to get to mahalech ha'amiti. And then you have also the calculations that are needed in order to establish a calendar today, which is called ibur. We're also not going to be discussing ibur in this parak. We're going to be discussing the second calculation in this halacha called mahalech ha'imtsai or moiled. So let's go. Halacha base. Foundation number one. Hayoyim v'alayla, day and night, arba ve'esrim shoyis b'chol zman. It's always 24 hours. Shtei mesri b'yoyim, 12 hours during the day. Ushtei mesri b'alayla, and 12 hours during the night. V'hashah, and every hour mechulekes le'elef u'shmoinim chalakim could be divided into 1,080 parts. Now, v'lama chalku hashah leminyan zem. Why did the sages divide every hour to this number? Why 1,080? Because in this hour there can be chatzi, you can divide it in half, revi'an to a quarter, ushminis into an eighth, ushlish into a third, ushtus and a sixth, v'tishua and a ninth, v'chaymish and a fifth, v'isra and a tenth. All these different multiples is able to be divided specifically from 1,080. And each one of these can be divided multiple times. So, like, for example, there's another multiple, let's say 360. But 360, so let's say some of the numbers the Rambam gave here was 9 and 6. So can you multiply 6 or 9 times 3? Will that fit into the number 360? So you can't break it into 360, but 180 is the perfect number where you can I'm saying 360 would not work here. 1080 is the number that we're giving. Very good. Halacha Gimel. When the moon and the sun have conjunction, according to this calculation, when they come in conjunction in 1 month, how long will it take until it's going to happen in the next month? So it's Tisha ve'esrim yom, 29 days. Ushtei mesrei shah is 12 hours from the 30th day at the beginning of the night, and 793 chalakim in the 13th hour. So, for example, if let's say the moon is going to be in conjunction with the sun in the month of Tammuz, let's just say at 6 p.m. So the next month, it's going to be 29 and a half days later, which is going to be at 6 a.m. It's, let's say, Tuesday night, 6 p.m. So the following month, it's going to be at Monday at 6 a.m. And 793 chalakim. You do 29 and a half days and 793 chalakim of that hour. And v'zeu azman shebin kabbalah l'moiled, that is the time between every moiled. And v'zeu chodesh shalavana, that is a lunar month. Guys, clear? Just to remember the numbers, between one moiled and another is 29 and a half days and 793 chalakim of that hour.
Wait, so the 1080.
Yes.
That's the number of chalakim that's in an hour?
In an hour, yes. Every hour has 1080.
Okay.
We don't divide it into minutes, just into these chalakim. Halacha Daled. Now, if you take 12 of these, which is we just told us how long it takes between a moiled and every month. Halacha Daled. Shana shalavana. What about an entire year, a lunar year? So it depends. If it's a regular year of 12 months, 12 months, you're going to have in total 354 days, in 8 hours, and 876 chalakim. That's how much is between one solar year of 12 months and the other. And if you're going to have a leap year, you're going to have the 13th month, 2 others. You're going to have 13 months. It's going to be it's going to be 383 days, the achas, the esrim shais, and 21 hours, and 589 chalakim. Next, shnas hachama. What about a solar year? How long is that? That's 365 days and 6 hours. Again, being that right now we're approximating, so we're actually following, there's an argument exactly how long a solar year is. following just an approximation, we're going to say 365 days and 6 hours. We're going to learn in later prakim tomorrow that there's actually an opinion that says that it's a drop less than 6 hours. And that obviously makes calculations a lot more complicating because you don't have a precise number. But here we're going to approximate it and follow the opinion of Shmuel that says it's 365 and 6 hours. So Nimtza, we find how much longer is a solar year over a lunar year is, and we're talking about not a leap year, a regular lunar year, Asara Yamim, 10 days, Ba'achas, the Esrim, Sha'is, and 21 hours, Umasayim, Barba Chalakim, and 204 Chalakim. Okay, guys, so far, we're just giving us easy numbers to know between one moilad in a month and the next, one moilad in 1 year to the next, and then based on that, we calculated how long a regular lunar year and a lunar leap year, how many days that's going to be. And we also calculated how long a solar year is. That's what we've done so far. Now, halacha here, we're going to start a new calculation. We want to now determine, now that we know how long there is between 1 month and the other, what day of the week would the moilad fall out from 1 month to the next? What day of the week? And that's going to give us a different calculation. If you're going to take a lunar month, which we said was 29 and a half days and 793 chalakim. And we're going to divide that into 7.
29 days, 12 hours. Right?
29 and a half days, right? So 29 days, 12 hours. Very good. So Shehemi Me'ashmua, which is 7, is the amount of days of the week. Yishar, you're going to be left over with Yom Echad, 1 day, Ushtei Mesrei Sha'is, and 12 hours, Ushva Me'ais, Ushloisha V'tishim Chalakim, 793 Chalakim. Okay, Siman Lahem, what's a Siman to remember this? Aleph, which is a day, Yud Beis, which is 12 hours, and then Taf Shin Tzadik Gimel, which equals to 793. Okay, so the first Rashi Tevis is the days and hours, and the second one is the amount of chalakim. This is the remainder of a lunar year. The Rambam will give us an example in the next halacha. A lunar month, thank you. And if you're going to take an entire lunar year and break it up into 7, if it's a regular year, Yishar Mimeni, you're going to have left over 4 days, and 8 hours. And 876 chalakim. And again, siman lahem, what's the siman? Dalid, which is 4 days. Ches, which is 8 hours. Taf ayin vav is the amount of chalakim, which is 876. And then next calculation, the im shanamu barasi, if it's a lunar leap year, risa, what's going to be its remainder? Chamisha yamim, 5 days, ba'achas ve'eshim sha'is, 21 hours, ba'chamesh meos v'sisha u'shmoinim chalakim, and 589 parts. Siman lahem, again, siman is hey, which is 5 days, chaf aleph, 21 hours, taf guf peites is 589. Okay, halacha vav. And kishayia imcha yadua, so therefore, if you're going to know moiled hachodesh min hachadashim, if you're going to know a specific moiled of one of the months, and v'soyisif alaf, and you're going to add to that month, again, aleph yud beis tashtzag, 1 day, 12 hours, and 793 chalakim, yetze moiled sha'acharav. You're going to know the next moiled that's after it. This is the calculation we made in halacha gimel. And the seida be'eze yomi meme shavua, and you'll also be able to calculate what day of the day of the week, or be'ez shah, and at which hours, or b'chama chalak miyah, and how many chalakim it's going to be by making the calculation in halacha daled. And let's actually now put all these calculations to test in halacha zayin. Samach, so far so good?
Yeah.
So 1 second, no audio.
I'm hanging on for dear life. Don't worry.
Perfect. Stay with us, baby. Stay with us.
All right.
I'm with you. I'm holding on.
All right, halacha zayin. So, Kate said, what's an example of all these calculations? Harish shahaya moiled nisan be'echad b'shabbos v'chamesh shayis b'yoyim u'mea v'shiva chalakim. If let's say the moiled, the moon, is going to be in conjunction and approximation with the sun for the month of Nisan on a Sunday at v'chamesh shayis b'yoyim at 5 hours in the day, and 107 halakim, which siman lahem is aleph, which is Sunday. Hey, 5 hours. Kuf zayin 107 halakim. So
To be
k'shetoysim.
clear, when he says 5, that's Saturday night, right? Meaning starting from 6 p.m.
Very
7,
good.
8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah.
Excellent. 5 hours is from Matzah Shabbos. That's correct. I think so.
So
Even though he does say by
p.m.
Yom. He said 12 hours in the day, 12 hours at night. 1 second. No, 5 hours in the day is
Starting from 6 a.m.?
it's starting from 6 a.m. Yes, which is at, let's say the starting point is at 11 a.m.
Starting point is always 6.
Yeah, but I'm saying this Moiled, which is
yes,
5 hours, is going to be at 11 a.m. and 107 halakim. Okay, Sunday morning at 11 a.m. So when you're going to add to it the remainder of a lunar month, which is what we said in Halacha Gimel, which is Aleph, 1 day, 12 hours, 793 halakim. Let's do the math. What is that going to come out to? Yetzei Moiled Iyar. When's the calculation going to be for the month of Iyar? Beleil Shlishi, Tuesday night. 5 hours into the night, which is at 11 p.m. and 900 halakim. Yeah, so because if you take Sunday morning 11 a.m. and you add 1 day, you're at Monday morning 11 a.m. If you had 12 hours, now you're at 11 p.m., right? Which is exactly the calculation you made. Tuesday night, 5 hours into the night, which is at 11 p.m. And if you add the additional halakim, it comes out to 900 halakim in total. Okay, siman lahem, what's the siman? Gimel, Tuesday, hey, 5 hours into the night, tough, kuf, 900 halakim. And this is the calculation you make forever, month after month. By adding these numbers, you'll know when the moiled of the following month is. With a mahalechaim tzoi, which is the approximate, the average number that we're coming to. Now, how do we figure out what day of the week it's going? Not yet. Halacha ches. And if you're going to know a moiled of this year, and you're going to add the remainder that we had to the moiled for the following year, what we said in halacha daled, if it's a regular year, you're going to add the number for regular year. If it's a leap year, you're going to add the number for a leap year. Then you'll be able to calculate the moiled of this exact month in the following year. And shana achar shana, this is the calculation for year after year, forever. Now, so what's the first moiled in a year and month that we start calculating from? So it says like this, just to understand. Adam Harishon, following the opinion that the world began, when was the world beginning to be created? Chaf He Elul. Okay, so Adam Harishon was created on the 6th day, Friday, on the 14th hour. 14th hour means 2 hours into the daytime. So if the day starts at 6, Adam Harishon was created at 8 a.m. Friday morning. So how do we calculate? Now, the thing is that Tishrei, Aleph Tishrei, which is the day Adam Rishon was created, is the second year, because Chafei Elul is actually the first year, because Elul is in the year before that. So what we have to do is we have to subtract, like when we said that there's a difference between, what did we make? We said the cheshbon is, no, not 112,793. 1 second. We gave a cheshbon of 4 days, 8 hours.
876.
Correct. 4,876. Which calculation is that?
That's the remainder over a full year.
The remainder over a full year. You have to make the cheshbon of 1 full year, because technically it's already a year later to go to the next moiled. That's the cheshbon that you make to figure out when was the first moiled in the month of Elul. You subtract the remainder of a full year from the time that Adam Harishon was created to when the world began.
Why would you just subject 1 month? It's just a prior month.
I don't know.
Huh. Okay.
I don't know. So, what's the first moiled that we begin all of these calculations? It's the first moiled of the first year of creation. And that was Beleil Sheni, Monday night, 5 hours into the night, 11 p.m. Mosayim, 204 halakim. And Siman Lahem, and Siman is Beis, Monday, hey, 5 hours, Rish Dalet, 204 halakim.
I'm sorry, what Monday are we speaking about?
Monday,
Adam Rishon was created on
Friday.
So when was Rosh Chodesh? You're saying the following Monday?
No, when we're making the cheshbon, when was the
You
Moiled?
have to go retroactive.
We're going back. Before creation, even though, again, this is very hard to wrap your head around, even though when was the sun and the moon placed into the sky on Wednesday? Nonetheless, we're pretending we're making a cheshbon. When would the first Moiled have been based on the precise time that Adam Rishon was created?
Okay.
And that's the cheshbon we come to. And that is the starting point from which we start for all of the following months and years. Okay, and that's the simon the Rambam gives us. Monday night, 11 p.m., 204 halakim. Okay, halacha tes. In all these calculations, that you know the moiled, when you're going to be adding one up with another, so you'll have many times that you're going to have more than 1080 halakim. So obviously the Rambam just spells out whenever you have 1080 halakim, then you include that into an hour. Whenever you have 24 hours, you just add an additional day. Right. When you have 1080, add an additional hour. And you add them to the amount of hours. When you have additional hours of 24, so tashlich yom, you'll include that into a day. You'll add that to the amount of days. When you'll have more than 7 days and you're trying to make a cheshbon what day of the week, so then again, you'll just take away 7 and you'll be left with the remainder to identify what exact day of the week it is. We're not calculating to know the amount of days. We're only calculating, to know the amount of days, or to know what day of the week, and which hour, then which part of that hour the moiled is going to be. So every time you have 1080, you just add an hour. Whenever you have 24 hours, you add a day. And whenever you have 7 days, you just put that into a full week. Okay. Halacha Yud. Now we're going to speak about what's called a machzor. And that is, the Rambam is going to tell us that in every cycle of 19 years, in 19 years, we're always going to have 7 of those years are going to be leap year, and 12 of those years are going to be regular years. So we'll have a specific number that'll be easier to calculate when every 19 years will always have 7 and 12. 7 leap years, 12 regular years. So being that we know the calculation for each individual year, instead of having to do those particular calculations, if you're trying to calculate a span of time that's over 19 years, there's going to be a number that will just give to 19 years. Okay, so let's read Halacha Yud. Every 19 years, that you're going to have 7 leap years and 12 regular years. Nikra machzor, that is called a cycle. Now, why did we rely specifically on the number 19? Because when you're going to gather together the days for 12 regular years, and 7 leap years, and gather together their hours and their chalakim, and you're going to combine all 1080 parts into an hour, and every 24 hours into a day. To add it to the number of days, you're going to find that what's the number that you're going to be left with? You're going to find exactly 19 years of the solar years.
Right. So the 365.
So exactly. In order to have, when do the solar and lunar come together? When will you have that exact number again at the same time? Every 19 years. Every solar year, 365 and 6 hours. So on a regular year, it's not going to match up with the lunar. But when you put 19 years together, then they will match up together. If ever you calculate every solar year, it's 365 and 6 hours. You're not going to have leftover any days in a cycle of 19 years, except for 1 hour. 485 halakim. Simon lahem is aleph, which is 1 hour, and taf pei hey, which is 485 halakim.
Wow. Okay.
Halacha yud aleph. So we find that in such a cycle of 19 years, when the hachodesh the months are lunar months, and you have solar years. And the 7 leap years in every cycle, what's going to be the cheshbon? Hain they are. The Rambam now is going to tell us in every 19 years, which one of those 19 years, 7 of them are leap years. What years are they? They are the 3rd year, the 6th year, the 8th year, the 11th year, the 14th year, the 17th year, and the 19th year. Siman Lahem, Gimel, which is 3, Vav is 6, Ches is 8, Yud Aleph 11, 14, Yud Zayin, and Yud Tes.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
The leap years, the months that are being added, are these 29-day months or 30-day months? You said we're adding 7, right? They're saying in a regular leap year, there's 383 days, right? So is it? I did do the
No. One more time. Good.
Right? 383 minus 354, 29 days. So an extra month is always 29 days. Okay.
29 days? 29 days what we're adding. Okay.
So meaning of those 7 extra leap years, right?
Yeah.
The calculation is 7 times
29.
So that's 203 extra days that are added on top of the other 354s. That would be times the 12.
Right. Okay.
12 times
It's 354 and change
4.
and hours.
Right, that's true.
Okay. Halacha Yud Beis. When you're going to gather together all of the 12 regular years, you're going to come out with the number Dalid, 4 days, Ches, 8 hours, and Tav Ayin Vav, 876 halakim. And you're going to have the 7 leap years. And like we said, every leap year is 5 days, Chaf Aleph, 21 hours, Tav Kuf Peites, 589 halakim. If you're going to add them all together and try to figure out what day of the week it's going to come out, if you want to figure out one machzor to the next, you're going to be left with Shnei Yamim, 2 days, Sheish Esrei Sha'is, 16 hours, Achamesh Meyois, Achamish V'Sishim Chalakim, and 595 halakim. Siman Lahem, what's the siman? Beis, 2 days, Yudvav, 16 hours, Tav Kuf Tzadikei, 595 halakim. Okay, that is the remainder of every cycle. Halacha Yud Gimel. Therefore, if you're going to know the exact time of the moilad, of the beginning of a 19-year cycle, and you're going to add to it this exact cheshbon, Beis, Yudvav, Tav Kuf Tzadikei, then you're going to come out with Chilas HaMachzor She'achar, of the beginning of the following cycle, in what day of the week it is. And and you can just keep adding 19s, and you're always going to come out. This is going to be the cheshbon forever. And we already said that what's the starting point? When's the time of the first moilad of the first machzor? Is Beis, Monday, 5 hours into the night, Reish Dalid, and 204 halakim, again, the second day of creation when Hashem created the world. Now, moilad hashanahu. And when is the moilad? So that's the beginning of the moilad of the very first month. When is the moilad of the very first year? Umoilad Hashana, who moilad Tishrei shel Ois Hashana. That is the moilad of Tishrei of that year. Okay, halacha Yud Daled. Therefore, ubaderech hazois, it is in this way that Teda moilad kol shana v'shana. You'll be able to know the moilad of every year. Shetirta that you want, umoilad kol chodesh v'chodesh shetirta, and a moilad of any month that you want, mishanim sha'avru or mishanim sha'asavim lavi, from any prior, from any upcoming years. All you need to do is add these numbers. Ketzat, for example, tikach shnei yitzira sha'avru, take the amount of years that passed, v'gamru and finished. V'salsa oisa machzorin shal cha esrei shana, and just make them, divide them into 19 years, cycles of 19, ad Tishrei shel Ois Hashana, until the Tishrei of this year. And v'seida minyan ha'machzorim she'avru, and know how many cycles passed. Uminyan hashanim she'avru b'machzor dain le'nishimam, how many years are there in the current cycle that you're in? And v'sikach l'chol machzor beis yudvav tav kuf tzadikei, take for every machzor 2 days, 16 hours, and 595 halakim. And from any regular year that passed in this current machshor that you didn't finish yet. Daled, 4 days, 8 hours, and Taf Ayin Vav, 876 halakim, and L'chol Shana Mubares, and for every leap year that already passed in this cycle. Hey, 5 days, 21 hours, 589 halakim, and gathered all together. Every 1080 parts make it into an hour, and every 24 hours turn into a day. And all of the days you put them into groups of 7 into weeks. Whatever you're left over from the days, the hours, and the parts, that's going to be the milad of the upcoming year. That's how you can calculate today, going all the way back to the beginning. Final halacha tezvav and milad hashana sheyetze b'cheshbon zeh, the milad that you're going to come to in this month. Milad Rosh Chodesh Tishrei is the milad of Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. That's the milad of years. And now, if you want to come to a particular month, if you're going to add the calculation that's needed to add to every additional month, Yetze milad mar cheshbon, you're going to come to the milad of cheshbon, which Tosef al mar cheshbon alef yud beis tashzag, Yetze milad kislev v'chein l'chal chodesh v'chodesh zeh achar zeh. This is the same calculation you come to every single month forever. So to summarize, all of the numbers that we gave, again, is in the calculation of Moiled, which is an approximated time of when the sun and the moon are in conjunction. We gave the numbers of how long it takes from 1 month to the next, and from 1 year to the next, whether it's a regular or a lunar leap year, a lunar year. Regular or a leap year from the moon, or if it's a solar year. And then we also made that all of those cheshbonis to calculate them into how many days of the weeks, and then we added everything together into a 19-year cycle, and that's the cheshbon you make to figure out all of these milads. Shkoyach.
Yeah. Now, if you could only repeat that.
Is there going to be a quiz? Is there going to be a quiz after this?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, Perek Zayin. So what this Perek is doing, it's taking all the, let's call it the rules and the fundamentals that Mendel just laid out in the prior chapter, and now it's going to apply it specifically to Rosh Hashanah, which Rosh Hashanah has some unique rules, and so we're going to have to kind of figure out exactly how these rules apply to when you establish Rosh Hashanah. Okay, so specifically we're talking about Rosh Chodesh Tishrei, okay, which is different than every other Rosh Chodesh. And here we go. Ein kodim la'olam Rosh Chodesh Tishrei lefi cheshbon zeh. We do not establish the Rosh Chodesh Tishrei according to this whole calculation that was just laid out. When don't we establish it? Lo be'echad b'Shabbos, never on a Sunday. Lo be'revi b'Shabbos, never on a Wednesday. Lo be'erev Shabbos, never on a Friday. Siman lahem adu. And as I heard Rabbi Gordon say, loy adu rosh. That's the way you could remember it. Loy adu rosh.
Adu is never rosh.
Huh? Loy adu rosh. Okay, so that's adu, aleph, dalet, vav. Ella kashi. Huh? Yes, Rosh Chodesh Tishrei, which is also known as Rosh Hashanah. Ella kishayi embayla Tishrei be'echad mishleisha. When the Moiled falls on one of these days, you actually establish the Rosh Chodesh, which is Rosh Hashanah, on the following day. If the Moiled was on Sunday, so you push off Rosh Hashanah to the second day, to Monday. You make Rosh Hashanah i.e. Rosh Chodesh, on Thursday. And if the Moiled was on Friday, you would make Rosh Hashanah on Shabbos. Simple so far. Okay.
So they do come, they do join, but we push it off?
We would push off Rosh Chodesh, correct. Meaning we don't, we're going to get there. Okay. Halacha Beis. So that's rule number 1. Adu, loy adu rosh. Okay, next one. Similarly, anytime the Moiled comes out after 12 p.m., okay, anytime the Moiled comes out after 12 p.m. of a day, we push off Rosh Chodesh to the following day. You got that? So, Ketzat, what does this mean? Let's say Monday, right? The Moiled was at noon, or Yisrael Sheishois, or anytime afternoon, it was at 1 or at 2 or at 3. You would push off Rosh Chodesh till the Tuesday. Okay? So, however, if the Moiled came earlier than noon, earlier than half a day, even if one tiny chelik of the 1080 chalakim that there are in an hour, that means if it was 11:59, right, and whatever, the maximum number, it was just before noon, so then then you would make it on that specific day. Exception is if that day would not fall onto Adu, Sunday, Wednesday, Friday. So now we're going to combine these two rules. And this is called Moiled Zakein. Okay? This idea of the Moiled having to be before noon in order to establish that day as Rosh Chodesh. If it's the following day, you push it off to the next day. Okay. Halacha Gimel. When the Moiled is at noon or after, and you have to push it off to the next day. If the following day is Sunday, Wednesday, or Friday, so you have to push it off an additional day. And then Rosh Chodesh ends up being the third day from when the Moiled would be. So let's Ketzat. What's an example of this? Let's just say the Moiled was Saturday at 12:01 p.m. So now we cannot establish that Shabbos as Rosh Chodesh because it's after that the afternoon. It's after 12 p.m. So now normally we would push it off to the next day, right? That's called the Moiled Zakein. You would go off to Sunday. The problem is Sunday is Adu, so because you can't have it on a Sunday, so you would push it off till Monday. So Shari HaMoiled b'Shabbos v'chatzei hayom Siman Zayin Yud Ches, right? Was 7th day. What's Yud? 10 hours. Ches. Yud Ches is 18 hours, right? So it's Sunday. That means counting 18 from 6 p.m. Shkia on Friday, right? So if you start counting from 6 p.m. Friday, you add 18, right? So now we're at 12 p.m. Saturday, right? So if you are at, in numbers, says Zimin, Zayin Yirches, so Koivim Rosh HaChodesh, Bashana Shamalada Kazeh, B'Sheni B'Shabbos. In a year like that, you would establish Rosh Chodesh on Monday. Similarly, if it was Tuesday afternoon, same issue. You can't push it off to the next day, which is Wednesday, because that's part of Adu. So therefore, you push it off 2 days and Kovin Rosh Chodesh b'Chamishi b'Shabbos on Thursday. Simple, good. Zelig, you got it? I can't see you, but it's good. All right. So now we have rule number 1, Adu. Rule number 2, the afternoon gets pushed, right? And when you combine those two, sometimes it pushes 2 days, okay? Next rule we're going to learn, and this is all specific to Rosh Chodesh Tishrei, aka Rosh Hashanah. Halacha Dalet. Moiled Tishrei sheyatza b'cheshbon zeh b'leil shlishi teisha shois b'layla u'masayim v'arba chalakim misha asiris simona gimel tes reish dalet or yoser al zeh im haisa shana pshuta deichen es Rosh Chodesh bein kov ois b'shishi b'shana zu ela b'chamishis b'Shabbos. Okay, in a regular year, when the Moiled falls out on Tuesday, which he means the night of Tuesday, which is Monday night, but Teisha Shois Balayla, 9 hours into the night, so this would be at like 3 in the morning, okay? 3 in the morning, Umasayim Ba'arba Chalakim, and exactly 204 chalakim, Misha Asiris, so, or more than that. So if this was a regular year, so we push Rosh Chodesh, so what do we just say? This is it's a Tuesday. So now we're before noon, right? So if before noon, you would think we should establish Rosh Hashanah Rosh Chodesh on Tuesday.
Which you're allowed to.
Right, which is no problem.
Yeah.
So he says, Daichen es Rosh HaChodesh, we push it off. We do not do it actually on Tuesday. Ella b'chamishish b'Shabbos, rather we do it on Thursday. So he says we can't do it on that Tuesday. We can't do it on Wednesday, so we actually push it off to Thursday. So this is a interesting scenario where you would think normally make it on Tuesday, but he's saying no, we definitely have to make an exception here because of when the time of the Moiled is. If it is on this, if it's on Tuesday at 9 hours, 204 units or more after nightfall, we have to push off 2 days. And to get this explanation, I'm going to actually read the note on the bottom of the Chayenu. And he says the rationale for the postponement of Rosh Hashanah in such a situation can be explained as follows. As explained in the following chapter, the maximum length of a lunar year is 355 days. You can normally we said a lunar year is 354 plus 12 plus, right? Okay, so but it can never exceed 355 days. As mentioned previously, 4 days, 8 hours, 870 units is the remainder of a normal year. That means if you go from year to year, the excess of the 350 weeks will be exactly 4 days, 8 hours, 876 chalakim. So to calculate the conjunction of Tishrei in the following year, this figure should be added to the 39204, which is the one, the time that we just mentioned. And the result is 12 noon on Shabbos. You get to 12 noon on Shabbos. As explained above, when the conjunction takes place at 12 noon or later, the celebration of Rosh Hashanah is postponed to the following day. In this instance, if it was 12 noon on Shabbos, it would be pushed to Sunday. We don't do Rosh Hashanah on Sunday. That means you'd have to push it to Monday. And if you did that, you would basically end up with a year, the following year would be a year of 356 days. And we can never have a year of 356 days. So therefore, to avoid that situation, what we do in the year prior, instead of doing Rosh Hashanah on Tuesday, we do it on Thursday. That's basically what he's teaching us in this halacha. And now in halacha, hey, he's going to give us that same exact concept, except in a leap year. So, hey, im yatsa moed tishrei b'yam sheni b'shalish shoyz b'yoyim b'chamesh meis u'shmayim v'tisha chalakim v'sharabiyas. Similarly, in a leap year, if the Moiled took place on a Monday, 3 hours, 589 units or more after daybreak. So in numbers, what does he say? This is Beis, Monday, Tesvav, 15 hours into the day. So that's 12 plus 3. That means after 9 a.m., right? And 589 chalakim, or Yasser Akain, or more than that. If this year was coming after a leap year, that means that the nearest year to this year was a leap year. You wouldn't do it on a Monday, even though the Moiled is on a Monday and it's before noon. So you would think, hey, let's make Rosh Hashanah on that Monday, right? Because you can do Rosh Hashanah on a Monday. No, push it off till Tuesday. And if you look at the note in the Chayenu, it's the same concept of with a leap year, you can never have a year that is, it always has to be 383 days. And in this case, if we did if we made Rosh Chodesh on the Monday, it would come out that you have actually less than 383, you'd have 382. So therefore, you push it to Tuesday, and then you would end up having 383 days. That's the rule.
You're saying you have previous one, we have two.
more, and with the problem with the leap years, you would have less.
And
yes.
When you're making this change, the following year is probably going to come out on like an adu, and then you're going to have to push it off, and that'll add an additional day.
Hold on, let's keep going. We're getting there. Halacha va. Hayimaylet hashana pshuta she'amarnu she'tidoche lachamishi paches chelek echad. However, he says, if the moiled of a regular year occurs even one unit before. So what did we say before in halacha daled? We said 39204. That was the magic number where if it's 39204, we end up having to push off Rosh Hashanah by 2 days, right? Meaning instead of doing it on Monday, instead of doing it on Tuesday, you have to do it on Thursday. Yeah. So he says, however, if it was even one chelek less, okay, then Rosh Chodesh, then Kovid Oisa Bashlishi, then you would actually make Rosh Chodesh on the Tuesday, the way it should be. Similarly, if the moiled in the year coming out of a leap year, right, was, what did we say before? We said 215,589. If it was Kegan Shaya Simana Bays, Kesvav, so it's 215, and then it says Tuf Kuf Peches, it was 588. So instead of 589, it was one chelek less, or less than this, Kaiva Isa Basheni, then you could actually establish Rosh Chodesh on that Monday, and you will not have a problem of having less than the 383, which is the amount of days minimum that you must have in a leap year. Nimsa Derek Rosh Chodesh Tishrei Zeh Kachu. So it comes out that the kvias of Rosh Chodesh Tishrei is Azoy. Tichashe v'seida hamoiled be'eze yom sheyeh. You have to know which day the moiled will be. And how many hours from the day or from the night. And how many halakim exactly it is from that hour. And based on that, using these rules, you can determine exactly when you're going to establish Rosh Chodesh Tishrei, i.e. Rosh Hashanah. The day of the moiled is the day that you establish Rosh Chodesh. Ella im kain. So in general, the rule is whenever the moiled comes out on that day, that's when you establish Rosh Chodesh. Except Ella im kain hay be'echa b'Shabbos. If it was the first of Shabbos, this is adu. Ay be'revi, ay be'erev Shabbos. So exception number one is you always make Rosh Chodesh on the day of the moiled unless it was one of the adu. Or if it was after exactly 12 p.m., that's another time when you push it. Or if it was one of the situations where it's a Tuesday, right? 9 hours, 204 halakim. In that case, we end up pushing it. That's another exception, right? Oh yeah, Yisrael said. Well, he's a shana pshuta in a regular year. So that was the halacha we brought down in halacha dalet. Oi, so the Rambam is just summarizing everything that we just learned. Oi, shaya hamoiled bitaf kuf pei tes halacha mishal revius miyayim sheni v'hisa shana pshuta sha'achar muberes. Or in the case of a leap year where we had Monday 15 and 589 halakim in a regular year that's following a leap year. So she'im yera echad me'arba dvarim elu, if the moiled happened in one of these four instances, so adu after 12 p.m. or in a regular year where we said it was after the 39204 or a leap year after the 215,589. So those are the four exceptions. So then we don't establish Rosh Chodesh on the day of the moiled. Or you do it the next day, or 2 days later, as we just explained. Clear? Okay, good. Halacha zayin ne'ma'in koivin b'cheshbon zu b'me'adu. So now comes a very controversial part of the Rambam where he says that we don't establish it in adu farvos because this cheshbon that we're mentioning, this is called the average conjunction. Okay, like Mendel mentioned in the last parak, this is called the hiluchon ha'emtsoi. Okay, and I between me and you guys, I'm just going to clarify. I don't fully understand what the Rambam means by this. So, but he says loy bimkoimos ha'amiti, but this is not really the true position of the moon and the sun. As we know, the fikach also yom kviya v'yom techia. Therefore, we have days that we establish Rosh Chodesh and days that we push it off. In order to get to the real true day of when the Moiled happens, when the conjunction takes place. So there's this Moiled Hamsoi, this average, and then there's the true one. So in order to get to the true one, sometimes we have to push it off. This is what the Rambam is telling us. Now, the reason why the Ravid and other Rishonim that argue on the Rambam, they don't understand what he's saying, because it says in the Gemara Klar, in Masechtas Rosh Hashanah and in Masechtas I think maybe Sukkah or Tainus, that it says it gives clear reasons as to why we don't establish Rosh Hashanah on Adu. And basically, the reasons that it was brought down was, number one, because you didn't want a situation where Shabbos and Yom Kippur would fall out in consecutive days, where you would have Friday, Sunday, or Sunday, Monday, right? So because you don't want Yom Kippur on a Sunday and you don't want Yom Kippur on a Friday, because then you would have 2 consecutive days where you can't bury the dead. And in those days, they didn't have refrigeration. And if you had someone that passed away, let's just say on a Thursday night or whatever, going into Yom Kippur or going, right? So then you would have 2 days of that body sitting there, it would decompose and it would be very, so in order to avoid that, that's why they never wanted to have that's part of the Adu. And the other part of that is Vav and Aleph and Vav, correct. That's the Vav and Aleph that takes care of the body decomposing. And also another reason mentioned had to do with vegetables. They needed fresh vegetables. And if you had 2 days of Shabbos and Yom Kippur, you wouldn't get the fresh vegetable. And then the Friday, that's the Aleph and the Vav. And then the Friday, what would happen if you had...
he doesn't mention any of these reasons at all here.
The Rambam does not. No. But this is brought down clear in the Gemara. And the reason that you wouldn't, the Gemara mentions that you don't do it on a Friday, is if Rosh Hashanah is on a Friday, then Hoshana Rabbah comes out on Shabbos. Just do the calculation. If the 7th day of Sukkot falls out on Shabbos, then you're not able to do Hoshana. So you would basically, you would take away all the celebrations and things we do on Hoshana Rabbah. So to avoid that, that's why we don't have Rosh Hashanah on Friday. That's the Adu. Anyhow, the Rambam doesn't mention that. The Rambam just says this idea of kind of lining up the Moiled Hamtsoi with Kibbutz Ha'amiti. Okay, Ketzad. What does it mean? Bashlishi, Koivin, Bervi, Doichen. We establish Rosh Chodesh Tishrei on Tuesday, but not on Wednesday. Bachamishi, Bashishi, Doichen. We establish it on Thursday. On Friday, we push it. Shabbos Koivin, we establish on Shabbos, but Shabbos Doichen, but on Sunday we push it off. Basheni Koivin, and on Sunday and on Monday we establish it. That's just a summary of the days when we could, and when we can't have Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. Ches halacha ches ve'ikar shar ha'arba dechiyas ha'elu, and the same principle of these 4 dechuyas. The main reason for this, as the Rambam is saying, is because this whole cycle of the Moiled is based on what's called the Mahalach Emtsai. All right, and because that's the average movements, but that's not the true movement. Okay, v'rayel davar, and the Rambam says that the proof to this is Shari HaMoiled Yabelel Shlishi V'Yitchel Chamishi. Sometimes you'll find that in a case where the Moiled was on a Tuesday And what do we do when it's on Tuesday? It gets pushed off till Thursday, right? Because you can't do it on Wednesday, Rosh Chodesh Tishrei. So if the Moiled was on Tuesday, you push it Tuesday after 12 p.m. Okay, so you have a situation where the actual Moiled, according to this, the Mahalach Emtsoi, was on Tuesday afternoon. You push it all the way to Thursday. This is what the Rambam says. He goes, you can't see the moon even on Thursday night or on the night going into Thursday. I think that's what he means. You can't even see it on Leil Shishi, on Friday night. This is a raya that the real moiled, okay, the real conjunction of the sun and the moon did not actually take place till Thursday. So even though according to the moiled hamtsoi, the calculation would be Tuesday at some point afternoon, the fact that you can't even see the moon on Thursday night is a raya that the real moiled is Thursday. So says the Rambam, Adkan halacha perek zayin, David Hamami. Tzemach, I'm testing you after.
Right? A white shirt today.
Yeah, David.
Who's doing the test?
Who's doing tests?
Rabbi Zajac.
We'll figure it out.
All right, David, go.
I'm here, Reb David.
Is test hard? Mendel's doing it then. All right. All right, Perek Ches. Here we go. Halacha Aleph. Chadsha shel Levana. You have a lunar month. Tisha ve'esrim yoyim umechsa v'chalakin k'mosh b'yarno. You have 29 and a half days and 793 units, like we said in Perek Vav. Yes. It's not possible for Rosh Chodesh to be in the middle of the day. Meaning that the portion of the day would be part of the previous month, or the portion of the day would be part of the following month, right? If all these calculations that we made fall in such a way, we would not split it to say it should be part of this month and part of that month. Okay. Shneimar, how do we know? Ad chodesh yamim, for a month of days. We understand from the oral tradition that you count the days of a month. You do not count hours of a month. Right? So even though we went through this whole crazy thing to figure out hours and halakim and everything, at the end of the day, you're going to pick either this day or that day.
Right.
Okay. Halacha beis. Lefichach. Oisin chadshei halavana. Therefore, we find that the lunar months, mehem chodesh chasav tishrei ve'esrim yom bilvad, that are established as lacking days, and others could be full. So the month that is lacking 29 days.
Anytime you make a month 29 days, you're for sure missing 12 hours and 790.
You're missing, right? Okay. The chodesh mali mishloisha yom, and a full month is not 29 missing these hours, but a full day would be considered 30 days. Even though the lunar month is several hours shorter, in order that we will not be counting hours, ela yamim shlemim. Rather, we're counting complete days. Okay. Halacha gimel. Iloheh chodsha shel levana tisha ve'esrim mechetza bilvad. If the lunar month were exactly 29 and a half days, then it would be divided completely even, completely equal. And you would have exactly 354 days for a lunar year, which is the average of what a lunar year is, right? Shisha chadashim chasarim v'shisha meleim. You would have 6 months that would be considered full, and you'd have 6 months that would be considered lacking. Okay. Aval mipnei hachalakim sheish b'chol chodesh chodesh yoiser al chatzi hayom. Since we have halakim, we have units, portions of these 1080 that are,
793.
Yeah, which add up to hours and days. You add these up to hours and then you add them up to become days. You will find that there are years where there are more chasarim months than full months. And you have some more where you have more full months than you have lacking months. Depends on the year.
Why would you ever have more full months? If you have 792 extra halakim, which means over several months it'll add up to an additional day. No, shouldn't that just make it that you'll have an additional hachodesh chaser?
What you're asking is above my pay grade.
Okay,
I don't know. Okay. All right. I don't know. Yom Shloshim. So, according to what we said so far, the 30th day of the month, we always make the 30th month Rosh Chodesh according to this calculation.
What's your question?
You hear the question?
Every month is 29 and a half days,
Yes.
793.
Yeah.
That just means you always have extra 793. So at a certain point, you'll have to make an additional hachodesh chaser to make up for this difference. Why will
The point is, you're always, in the course of a year, I just did the math, it's about 8 hours, or close to 9 hours extra, right?
Okay.
You have 9 hours extra.
Right.
So you have to, as you go along in the cycle, you always have to be matched
Balance
up
it.
those 9 hours with either an extra Malay month or an extra Chasser month in order to kind of keep the
Balance it
equilibrium.
out.
Huh?
To balance it.
How would a mulling month would mean? How would that balance it out?
What do you mean? You're saying why not just do a Chasser?
You need, if there's 9 extra hours you said in a year, 9 extra hours.
Yeah.
So it sounds like in every 15, 16 months we'll have an additional 12 hours. So you need to do an extra hachodesh chaser.
Yeah.
That's my question. Why would these additional halakim ever cause you to do an additional hachodesh malik?
You're saying you should always just take away a day.
You should just always do one extra hachodesh chaser every 16 months.
Yeah, I think because like we said before, when ultimately the calculation all comes back to weeks, right? So I think there's a situation when we have to add more. All right, I hear you.
Okay. All right, done.
Daled Yom Shloshim, the 30th day. We always make the 30th day Rosh Chodesh according to this cheshbon. However, if the month is going to be called lacking, then lacking means Rosh Chodesh. It's going to be on the 30th day for Rosh Chodesh for the next month. However, if the month that is, it's going to be Malay, then what we're going to do is the 30th day is going to be Rosh Chodesh. Since part of it is meant to be Rosh Chodesh, we said, then it's going to be counted as the completion of the previous month. Then the 31st day is also going to be Rosh Chodesh. So you're going to have the 30th day and you're going to have the 31st day. Therefore, you have 2 days Rosh Chodesh. So therefore, just to summarize what this is saying, Lefichach, Oisin Rosh Chodashim b'cheshbon zeh, Chodesh echad v'yom echad bilvad, Chodesh echad shnei yamim. Some days, some months you're going to have 1 day Rosh Chodesh, some months you're going to have two days Rosh Chodesh. Just to summarize like this. If it's a month that is chaser, that's lacking, you make it Yom 30, 1 day. If you're going to have it as a Malay, you're going to have Yom 30 and the next day, which would be Aleph of the next month.
30 and 1. Okay.
Which is what we do, right? We do 30
Yes.
plus Aleph for the coming month. Okay. Seder Chodashim Hamleim v'Chaserim Lefi Cheshbon Zeh. The order of the months that are full and the months that are lacking, they go according to this cheshbon. What is the cheshbon? Kachu. Tishrei lo elam maleh. Tishrei is always full. The Chodesh Teves lacking. Teves, and so on, you go Echad Male ve'Echad Chaser ala Seder. Ketzad, Teves is lacking. Shvat is full. Adar is lacking. Nisan is full. Iyar is lacking. Sivan is full. Tammuz is lacking. Av is full. Elul is lacking. Shana U'Me'aberes, however, when you're now in a leap year, Adar Rishon becomes full, not lacking. Adar Rishon becomes full, not lacking like originally. But Adar Sheni becomes the one that is lacking in a leap year. Yes? Okay. We're good?
This is interesting. He says here that that means that if the Adar Rishon is the full month, that supports the Rambam saying that that's the extra month, which implies that an added month is 30 days, not 29 days. I thought we said before that the full month is the added month is 29, right? Because we said it's 383.
The
right?
added month,
If a leap
Adar
year
Sheni is Chaser.
54, that's 29 days. So why are we adding it? I'm not sure.
Nisharu Shnei HaChadashim. There remains from everything that we counted all the months. We have 2 months left. Shen Mar Cheshvan v'Kislev. You have Mar Cheshvan and you have the month of Kislev. The rest of the parak is going to talk about this situation. Sometimes you have both of them malay. Sometimes you have both of them chaser. Mar Cheshvan chaser v'Kislev malay. Sometimes you have Mar Cheshvan is lacking. You have Kislev is full. Now we're going to do some terminology. Whenever you have a year where both of these months are going to be malay, that's called hunikra chadashim shleimim. That's called a year that's full. Yes? That's called a full year. Okay? Or a year of complete months. However, if both of these, Mar Cheshvan and Kislev, is both lacking, Nikru chadasheha chasarim. You have that called a lacking month, a year of lacking months.
So we could have sometimes 7 full months and 5 chaser. Sometimes we could have 7 chaser and 5 mully.
Yes,
right?
yes. Now, correct. And then you have a third terminology for it. B'shanash yeh ba Mar Cheshvan chaser b'Kislev malay nikru chadashim kisidra. Okay. However, if you have Mar Cheshvan that's going to be lacking and Kislev is going to be full, that's the normal order. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's in order of how it's supposed to be. Halacha zayin. Derech yedias hashana im chadshei hashleimim or chasem or kisidram. The way to know whether the year is going to be called lacking, where you have 7 full. No.
Shleimim is 7 full.
Lacking is called 7 lacking,
Yeah.
5 full. Okay. Or the chaserim, which means that they have 7 full, 5 lacking,
Yeah.
right? Or sidran, where you have 1 and 1, 6 and 6, even sidran. This is how you calculate. This is how you calculate it. Teida techilas yom shenikba by Rosh Hashanah. Shetirtze leida sidor chadasheha. We determine the day on Rosh Chodesh, what's going to fall in that year, about whose months you desire to know. Like we mentioned like Danny mentioned in the previous parak. Okay. You want to calculate the next Rosh Hashanah. Take away the days of Rosh Chodesh Tishrei, or aka Rosh Hashanah, from this year and from the year that you're calculating. Calculate the days in between. Okay? Yeah. That's what we're trying to figure out now. If there's going to be 2 days between them, meaning, what does that mean, 2 days between them? Meaning, if you calculate from a 7-day cycle, and Rosh Chodesh Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah is going to be on this day of the weekly cycle, and the coming Rosh Chodesh is going to be on another day. What are the days in between on the days of the week? Yes? Okay. You Chadshei Hashanim Chasem. if there's going to be 2 days, this is the calculation. If there's 2 days in between, that's called chaser. If there's 3 days in between them, kisidron, according to half and half, 6 and 6. If you find that there's 4 days between them, they're going to be called malay. What are we talking about? Everything we just said is a shana pshuta. Yeah? Okay. How about a shana meoberes? Aval im haisa meoberes im timsa ben yom kvias uvein yom kvias shana shalachreha arba yamim. However, if you find in a shana meoberes 4 days in between, you chache oisan hashana meoberes chaserim. Then it's going to be called chaser. If you have between these days of the week, you have 5 days, you kisidran, then it's going to be half and half. Yeah? If you find 6 days in between them, that's what's called shlemim. The whole year is going to be called the shlemim months.
You're going
to have 7 malay.
Will both be malay.
Yes.
Got it.
Halacha test. Okay. Ketzad, how's it work? We want to know the order of the months of this present year. And Rosh Hashanah is falling out on a Thursday in a Shana Pshuta, in a simple year. Now you know that the next coming month, if you went according to Danny's calculation, next year is Rosh Hashanah is supposed to fall out on Monday. Yes, it's gonna fall out on Monday, which we're allowed to do. Yes. So how many days do you have? You have take away the Thursday, take away the Monday. You have Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
3 days.
You have 3 days. You have 3 days. So what happens on 3 days in a normal year? Kisidron. Yeah?
Yep, 6 and 6.
Okay. However, if it falls out on a Tuesday, let's calculate this. If you have it on a Tuesday, and again, we're saying it's going to fall out the next year on a Monday. So take away the Tuesday, take away the Monday. You have.
No.
Wait.
No, it's Tuesday the following year. Instead of Monday.
Tuesday the following year.
Yeah.
So you're calculating from Thursday. Take away the Thursday. You have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. You have 4 days. 4 days in a Shana Pshuta, Malayim, Shlemim. Yeah, Shana Zu Shlemim. Vilu Haya Reish Shana B'Shana Zu B'Shabbos. If Rosh Hashanah falls out on Shabbos in the current year, Ubashana Shalachrea B'Shlishi B'Shabbos, and in the following year is going to be Tuesday. Therefore, you're counting in between them Sunday and Monday. You have 2 days. Therefore, it's 2. It's called chaser.
Right.
So too, you can calculate for the Shana Me'beres, like we just said. Halacha Yud, last halacha. Yesh sham simanim shetismach alehem kedei shelo titei becheshvan sidur chadshei hashana. You have certain indications, you have certain simanim that you can rely on in order that you should not make a mistake in the calculation on the orders of the month. Hen binuin, these are based on ikreze hacheshvan v'hakvius v'hadchius shebe'anu darkan ve'eluhen. These are the ways to calculate the way to fix the months, how to cause them to be postponed, like Danny said, right? 1 day or 2 days. Okay. Kol Shana Shlishi Rosh Hashanah Bab Shlishi. Whenever Rosh Hashanah is on Yom Shlishi, which you're allowed to do on a Tuesday, they're always going to be, that year is going to be Kisidron 6 and 6. Bein Shan Pshuta, Bein Shan Me'beres. Whether the year is going to be a simple year or a leap year. That's the first indication. Yeah? Okay. In Ye Rosh Hashanah B'Shabbos or B'Sheni. Whenever Rosh Hashanah is going to fall on Shabbos or on Monday, it's never going to go Kisidron, Bein Pshuta, Bein Me'beres. It's either going to be Malay or it's going to be Chaserin months. Yeah? Okay. However, if you have it, what did we cover so far? We covered Tuesday, we covered Shabbos and Monday. Yes. if it's going to be on a Thursday, this is the last option, right? Outside of Atu, right? If you're going to have it on Rosh Hashanah b'Chamishi, in Pshuta, if it's going to be a Shana Pshuta, then on a Shana Pshuta, it's not possible that they will be lacking. However, it's a Shana Me'aberes, it's a leap year. Then it's not going to be Kesidron. It's either going to be Shleimim or Chaserim. And you can look back at these indications to know if you did it correctly or not. So these are like little side notes. Did I calculate right or not? It should always fit with these indications.
It's fascinating that the entire year, whether it's Mali or Chaser in these months, specifically of Kislev and Cheshvan, is all determined on the Rosh Hashanah of the prior year and the Rosh Hashanah of the next year. So you figure out first when this Rosh Hashanah should be and when that Rosh Hashanah should be, and then based on that determines everything else. Whether it's you're going to have two full months extra, meaning 7 full, or whether you're going to have 7 lacking, or 6
or
and 6.
half and half.
Fascinating.
Very good.
Go ahead.
Have a great day. Shkreach. Bye, guys.
No, but the notes at the bottom.